experimenting with this. It's like we need to get our voices heard. We need to get our voices out there. And I think that's one of the big things of this year is to enable people to begin to have the courage to speak. I mean, it's always been my work with trauma healing. So it's to enable people to have the courage to speak. More so.
Do you know, I don't think it's that. It's not even, I think it's bigger than that, Juliet. I think it's enabling people to have the courage to think. They don't even have to speak, because when my thoughts and my opinions feel like they're being bashed, which they do on a regular basis at the moment, it's almost like I'm afraid to think for myself, because I fear the fear of being bashed makes my thoughts go frozen.
Yeah, that's totally true. So let me introduce.
Yes.
I was feeling, oh look, the sun is brighter if I go, the sun's around here. So, yes, I hope people can see me okay. So let me introduce, this is Juliet Yelverton here from Healing Water Sanctuary in Glastonbury, and Marion Bevington here. And would you like to introduce yourself, Marion, because you do it better than I can.
Yes, okay, so yes, I'm Marion. And when people ask me what do, I quite flippantly, but also sincerely say, I used to program computers. Now I deprogram people. So what I do is I actually work in the field of health and well-being. I'm a yoga teacher. I'm a coach. I'm a public speaking mentor. But most importantly, I'm a human finding out how to be the most authentic version of myself in this lifetime, because the life I have been living up until now wasn't very authentic. And so I ended up getting ill. And now we're in a situation where it's like there's this cultural, worldly, global illness that's affecting us all, which is where we started, wasn't it? That even my thoughts get frozen. And I really understand that being in flow is what's needed. And that's what, you know, a program has a flow. Every program has its flow. Every person has its flow. Every life has its flow. So finding this flow is, for me, is the journey that I'm on right now. So how I can help you, how I can help me, however that flow needs to be supported is exactly what I'm doing. And because my truth is my truth, regardless of what other people's truth is, I feel that what I'd like to help you and other people create, Juliet, is a space where we can find our own flow in that space and not feel so fearful that we freeze our own thoughts or our actions or our words.
Yes, that's really great that you're helping in that way, and we've been working together. I just want to check, because I'm new at doing this and I'm not really great at technology. You're the technological whiz.
I am, but you're leading this one. I'm very impressed.
Yeah, but I'm not sure. It says we're live, but I'm not seeing the live stream coming onto Facebook. So
I am.
You are.
I am. I'm gonna let me send you. So with my techno wizardry, I'm gonna tag you and say a gratitude and love. There you go. And now if you've got if you go to your Facebook page, you'll be able to see. It'll ask you to.
Wonderful. So, okay.
So we are live. We freeze our own thoughts or our actions or our words. Yes. Don't click on the video.
What have I done? Oh, dear.
You've clicked on the video on Facebook.
So I am encouraging people to be empowered to make their own platforms, their own videos, and to get their message out. Not only to have the courage to speak and the clarity to speak, but the courage and the clarity to think about things, and then to actually be able to put it out for other people to hear. And it's a huge leap. It's like there's so much going on here, a huge amount going on here, because it's like under normal circumstances, do I dare speak? And now we've got what's going on, and do I speak in this environment? And how do I clear my thoughts, because we're so traumatized and in such a high degree of fear at this moment that it's hard even to think clearly because our primitive brain is running the show and our cognitive functioning is more or less turned off. So it doesn't mean to say we can't have thoughts, but we can't critically think. So we can't examine information. We can't really process the enormous amount of information coming through. So there's those two steps. And then it's like, do I have the courage to put out my critical thinking that I'm coming to? And then how do I master the technology? It's a huge thing. And for those generations underneath me, I mean, you're a generation underneath me, Marion.
About that much.
Yeah. And it was Brigitte and I last week, the two grannies.
The elders, beautiful elders you are. I'm so grateful to have you both in my life. It's because elders are so important, and it's been totally inverted in our society. Stick them in a home, and now we can even get rid of them quicker. Oh, convenient. But it's just this whole idea that young people, because they have the power of the energetic force, if you like, they've got more life force within them, or they've got access to more life force and more power and strength because of that youth, that we then give them all of the power for everything. Just that then takes out, well, we know that, our societies are so negatively impacted because of this disconnect from wisdom, which is what we gain more of as we get older. So we lose this muscly strength as we get older. Some people, most people. But what we don't lose, or what we gain, is the wisdom of our perspective and the broadness of our view, that we can see more clearly, or we can see more. And that's what's lost now to the youth of today, isn't it? So they've got power. If you're younger and you understand how to use technology, how can you make sure that what you're using technology for is full of wisdom, is full of compassion, is supportive to you and whatever your needs are on your journey?
Yeah, so it's like what you've just said, that there's so many potential topics and so many directions to take that. So I know that both Brigitte and I, and you and I, can talk about so many different things and here today to stay on track. So we are doing this live to invite you, the people who are watching, to just put in your comments and to tell us what is it that is challenging you right now.
Yeah, it's really, I think that's for me at the moment, what's crucial is that because we've got this isolation imposed, that we need to discover how to resource ourselves. Because again, with the trauma work that you do, Juliet, we talk, how do you recover or heal or resolve trauma? Well, you need resources to do it. It's the same with any project. You need the resources to make sure that you can do the job. You can't boil a pot of soup if you haven't got a pot, or if you haven't got the soup. You need the ingredients and you need the resources to do that. And so what can we do to support people, to support you if you're watching? What can we do to support you during this time where you feel like you're on your own, where you feel like nobody understands you, where you don't like being imposed upon, but maybe you don't really understand, what you believe. It's so much information. There's so much confusion. One day we'll hear a story that makes us go, oh, great, that's great. I like that. And then the next day we hear it's a big lie and we believe that it's a lie. So then I'm decimated again. So it's, what can we do for each other to support each other? We're mammals, aren't we? We're social creatures. We need interaction. Interaction is crucial for our survival. It's not a blessing, and it's not a luxury to be able to communicate and feel that you're communicating in a community that you're safe in. That is actually a basic human need, isn't it? That interaction in society. And so I think what I wanted to do today with you, Juliet, is to have this clarion call, if you like, to say out, are you out there? Are you terrified? Are you feeling lonely? Are you feeling screwed over? Are you feeling angry? Are you feeling scared? Are you feeling in a way that is overwhelming to you and is stopping you from, accessing a bit of happiness, accessing a bit of joy? And if you are, what's your need? Because maybe we can help you. Maybe Juliet or I can help you. But I know if we can't help you, we will know somebody who can, or we'll know some information that we can refer you to. So yes, please, just comment, or even private messages, and just let us know what support you need. What resources do you need access to that you haven't got right now? Even if it's just a listening ear, even if it's just a place to go and find out more information. Or, as Juliet just said, if you want to start broadcasting your own information, how do you go about doing that and still feel safe? So if you've got any questions about any of those, please connect with us and let us know, because for me, that's the purpose of us doing this today, Juliet, is to say, there is someone here. There is somebody here that you can ask questions of. You know, you don't need to feel so isolated, so scared and so alone. We're here.
Yeah, we're here. And I've been reaching out for months and months and months.
Mm-hmm.
And I know many people, I've just seen more and more people stepping up and reaching out. And also what I'm witnessing, Marion, is that even amongst those people that have the voices and they're able to reach out and they're really well resourced, and I particularly want to address to those as well today, that they are also feeling very, very stressed, because that you've raised the issue of, like, human beings need to be connected, which is what I've been continually saying, that we're hardwired humans, we're tribal, we're herds, we're not meant to be separate, we're hardwired for social connection.
Mm-hmm.
And when we're forced to be isolated, that immediately breaks the bonds of relationship. So there's a profound relational wounding happening at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really, really traumatizing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that means that even when you're pretty well resourced, like we are, that relational wounding, that still impacts us. And I'm finding it's really impacting me at this moment in time. Yeah. And the other thing is that we've got the collective trauma pattern happening, and we've got our personal trauma happening. And this collective is really amplifying our personal trauma patterns.
Massively.
So whether we're resourced or not, we're all being massively triggered.
Yeah.
All of us.
Yeah.
And there's a huge collective trauma pieces playing. So there's so many things happening that we're not even aware of, that it's kind of in the background playing, but it's having a really, really powerful influence on us. But what we see in the foreground playing is all the stuff coming through the media, all the social manipulation, all the confusion and all the information. So we're there kind of a bit like watching a TV screen, watching all that play out. But in the background of ourselves, within our own psyches and our emotions, this huge amount of stuff trying to process the whole time. Our own trauma, massively trying to process. And I know that people, even well-resourced and very knowledgeable about trauma, even coming up to me and saying, you know, I think I'm going crazy. There's so much incoherence going on that I think I'm going absolutely insane. And I've experienced that myself.
Yeah. Have you just spoken to me this time last week? I was in a very different place. I was in a much darker place this time last week. And again, just being overwhelmed by, am I going mad? Because it's almost as if I can't see any information that agrees with my experience right now. All I'm seeing is this information that is totally contrary to my experience right now. But actually, when I do reach out to those that support me and that I know can help and support me, it's like oh God, yes, it's not just me. Oh, thank goodness, I can breathe again. Even if it's just one person who sits and listens to my perspective without trying to slam me down with it. It's that space to just come back to myself again, come back to my center, which is what we do when we're being authentic, when we're being in flow, when we're fully resourced and we're in a good community where we feel safe and loved. We become part of our own center. So that displacement, that kick that happens to us, that it throws us into the chaos of, am I going mad? Shall I just end it all now? All of those thoughts and ideas that come, I think we are all having them. We're all struggling with them.
Yeah.
And it needs to be, we need to recognize it for each other and voice it. So if you need help, you know, we've been there and we've come through it, and we'll go there again and we'll come through it again. That's
sure. It's a complete roller coaster. It's like I have to personally focus so much on resourcing on a daily basis. and it's so easy. Like yesterday, I don't know why my light keeps changing. I don't know what that's about, but anyway.
It's called nature. It's the sun. She's moving, or he's moving.
But it doesn't seem to correspond to that. I don't know why. It's like the sun comes out and the screen goes dark. But anyway.
Oh, I know why. Because the contrast of the bright, bright, bright light behind you, the camera's actually making. Yeah,
Well, I was wondering about that, but
it's so bright.
Everybody who's watching, bear with me. You don't need to see my face, but I do have a face. But
we do need to see your face. We're just talking about this, Juliet. Social interaction, darling. Social interaction.
See, that's better now.
Yeah, there we go. That's better.
Yeah, social interaction. We need to see. I mean, actually, this is very key. We need to see people's faces.
Yeah.
Our nervous system is continually taking in subliminal information and responding to the most subtle nuance of facial gesture. And those facial gestures we're reading all the time, very rapidly.
Also, there's the programming of who covers their face. Somebody that's going to rob the bank, or somebody's going to rob your house, or a bad person covers their face. We've been programmed with that from TV and from the media. So not only have we got the innate capacity to do reading that we're not even aware of faces and body language, but we've also got it programmed into us that a covered face is a dangerous thing.
Yeah, and we're all being forced to cover our faces, and it's like, it's just driving me insane.
I know.
It's one of the things that's literally driving me insane, and it's like I'm at the point sometimes, if I'm feeling down, it's hard to step outside of my front door to do anything, because I'm going to meet this kind of attack, pushback in some way, challenging me about I need to cover my face.
Yeah.
But God knows what it was like to live in Afghanistan at the point in time when women were forced to.
Yeah, can you imagine? Well, I think that's what we're experiencing now, isn't it? As we're women and men. If we don't, if we perceive that the face covering isn't realistic, or it's not been done for any good reason, then we're having this forced closing down of self. So that's what it does. It shuts down self, doesn't it? When there's very little me able to transmit when I'm covered.
Yeah, and I find that's immediately triggering to me. Absolutely immediate.
Yeah.
Because the nature of trauma is that we lose our sense of self, and that the very many people that are traumatized on this planet are struggling to create a sense of self at this point in time. And mental health is very much when we lose our sense of self. So we're hearing of massive increases in mental health problems at this moment in time. Huge amount of suicides. But it's not just the teenagers or the young people or the lonely people that are now feeling suicidal. It's people who are like you and me. I mean, I'm not saying that you are, but I know that other people that are well resourced, like myself, when they get to this complete feeling of incoherence with what's going on, like, I cannot cope with it. I cannot. My reality, my inner reality and my inner knowing is telling me this information, but it's being completely smacked and denied by every person that I meet.
Yes.
And complete insanity telling us there's a terrible thing going on and that we are going to die if we don't do as the state tells us. We don't absolutely conform to the directives of what we should do. Yeah. And I think at the same time, there's a huge, I think there's a huge amount of censorship. There is a huge amount of censorship. And I know that even doing this video, that there are certain words that we shouldn't say because we will immediately be censored.
Yes.
I mean, that's worse than the time of the Third Reich. The degree of censorship at this moment in time is worse than that.
I know this whole compliance obedience thing is incredible. On two parts, it's incredible for me. It's incredible how easily we are programmed. And it shouldn't be incredible to me because it is my work. I know how easily programmed we are, but I am every day, I am re-shocked, if you like, at it really is so deep, it's so insidious, this programming that's been put to us, that is totally against our innate brilliant nature, totally against our brilliant innate nature. And it's the divide, I suppose, between who we innately are and who I'm seeing the programming impact and how it's impacting people. The divide between those 2 points that's what overwhelms me. That is that thing. It's just how big that divide is. Fortunately, though, because I think more and more people are, well, being home a lot and having access to the internet is giving people a chance to look at independent information and not keep reading the same programming or listening to the same programming over and over again. So yeah, there's definitely a widening of that knowledge, isn't there? There are other avenues of information.
Yeah,
it's not bought and paid for by all of the people who own the mainstream media.
That's really great that other information is available, and it's interesting how the whoever they are that's rolling this out, it's got various names. Some people call it the deep state, some people call it the cabal. Sorry about my dinging, I still haven't managed to turn that off. I don't know why. Everybody
just looked at their phones then, Juliet. We're programmed, you see, and we go, oh, was that me?
That's right, just like rats running around the cage. That's
exactly what we are. That's what the rats and humans have similar brain structures. We know this, don't we?
We absolutely. So yeah, it's still dinging, even though my phone's turned off and all that. So anyway, just an example. So it's no surprise really that the people who are rolling this out, the cabal or the deep state or whatever, that they've been working very hard on socially programming us, not just throughout this year, but the last 3 or 4 generations.
More. I think more. I think since the beginning, since like, to me, it's almost like the whole education system that we've got. Because I know a client I worked with a few years ago. He was a great historian, but in a really lovely what's that science where you study cultures?
Anthropology.
Yeah, that's it. He was a historical anthropologist, and he helped me to appreciate the education system that we still work on today. The education system that is still being used and imposed on us today was developed to build Prussian armies. So they educated people so that they would put their life on the line as a soldier for some state, not even for a person, but a state.
Yeah.
So because of the state or the country or whatever the thing is that you are patriotic about, because of that thing, you will hold a gun and shoot another human being, or you will stand up and potentially be shot by another human being. So what it's taken for them to turn us into these robots, if you like, is the same education system that was developed to create soldiers is the one that's being rolled out today. So that was a real great awakening for me. Is our education system is actually built on this Prussian thing, which preceded all the Nazi stuff, and will have facilitated all the Nazi stuff.
Oh, right. Okay, that's very interesting because Margaret, what's her name, who wrote the books For Your Own Good, the psychotherapist, the roots of violence in child rearing.
I don't know her name.
Margaret.
It'll come back to you.
It'll come back. But she wrote about how the child rearing was meant to destroy the soul of the child, and that's what underpinned Nazism. That's what underpinned, prior to that. Yeah.
There's a lot of talk about it as well, isn't there, with like attachment theory, when people talk about attachment theory and what a baby who's being born needs, or even a baby in utero. But this understanding, this biological intelligent mechanism that the mother is, that the baby is, has been totally severed and interfered with by some medics, by beds, with your legs up in the air, by knives, by tying people down, and all of this completely, again, it's just the total opposite of the innate brilliant wisdom of our body. As a woman having a baby, your body doesn't want to keep still. You probably don't want to be lying on your back with your legs up in the
body knows I vouch that it's massively traumatizing. That's how my first
So even the being born was done in a way that is against our natural nature. Exactly. It was done violently. It was done about obedience. The doctor will tell you what to do and the nurses will tell you what to do, and you will have no say in the matter. I haven't got children, but I got horror story after horror story after horror story as a young woman with friends having children at just how disabled women are during the birth process. They have no rights. They have no power, and most of them absolutely fall completely 100% into the victim role because we've been programmed to do it. Doctors know best, nurses know best, which means my body's stupid. Well, that is not my reality. That is not my reality. So yeah, that everything about the way that we have children, the way that we rear children, I agree with Margaret, whoever she is, that it is almost to undo our human nature, but they can't. Margaret Miller.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm going to check out.
Her name was Margaret. No, she's a very well-known psychotherapist, and she did write about Hitler as well.
Okay, that's really interesting. Yeah,
that's one viewpoint about how he turned out to be a mass murderer.
Right.
So I don't know what's causing our current politicians to do what they're doing, but I think a lot of them were raised in that kind of system, like Eton and so on, these public boarding schools as well.
Yeah, there's the boarding schools, but there's also the ritualistic aspect of our society as well, isn't there? The sort of the satanic rituals, if you like, that take place. I don't know if you're the same. I've had clients who have been part of have had ritualistic abuse done on them in the past. I'm very fortunate because I don't believe I've had any of that happen to me in this lifetime. But I've had clients who've struggled with all sorts of things in their own families and their communities, or they've been dragged into a cult of some kind as a young person. And now the healing around that is to recognize that all of these things that indoctrinate us are against our natural, innate ways of being. There's no need to indoctrinate innate brilliance. We've already got it.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it is quite horrific, the satanic abuse.
Yeah. And people say it's not real. Well, you can speak, if you've never experienced it and you think it's not real, that's fine. I'm happy for you to go along with that. But I'll never believe it because I work with people who it is their truth. It is part of their past.
Yeah, so, me too.
Yeah.
I have connections with people that have been through.
Yeah. So, there's no denying, I'm not denying anybody's reality. So if you're in denial of ritualistic abuse, I accept your denial. If you come to me as a client needing support, I accept your need of support and I'll offer what I can. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a subtle difference between the way that we work, Juliet, isn't there? Because your activism and your wanting to get out there and voice everything is really powerful and really necessary. But the way I do it is I don't push myself into people's face, but I will hold my ground as much as I can and allow everybody to have their own space, regardless of what that is. But I'm here to support people because this connection, to make that human connection and to reignite, compassion and love and the things that connect at that level. Again, this innate, brilliant loveliness that we've all got, to reignite that. That's what I really love to do. So, I'm not going to sit back and completely be quiet, but I want to be, I sense for me, I'm more of a middle ground person. Whereas I see you as this massive dominating leader. It's great. I love it.
Dominating me.
Yeah, I do, because your power, when you speak about what you believe, and when you speak against what you don't believe, you do it in a way that I don't have that power that you have when you do that. I go a bit, well, if that's what you think, I'm not going to fight you. Whereas you've got more fight in you than me.
Yeah, maybe.
I really admire it because I do feel sometimes I feel a bit limp, but I also know that for the people who I do support and the communities that I'm in, that I'm supporting, I'm not limp at all, but being able to hold that slightly lower level. So it's not as powerful, but it's it's supporting them in a slightly different way. I think so. All of our skills are needed, aren't they? All of our ways of being are needed.
We're all really needed in this. And for me, what happens is that, and I think this is why I feel like I'm going insane sometimes, is that I have such a feeling of what's right and what's not right, what's right and wrong, good and evil. I mean, it's so clear for me that I cannot tolerate the falsehood that's going on. I cannot tolerate the lies that are going on in our world at this moment in time. And it drives me to despair to witness the amount of people that are dying, not from a virus, but from the evil that's being rolled out in a very, very deliberate way across this planet at this moment in time. And it makes me feel utterly enraged that that's happening. And it's like no one can persuade me otherwise, because I've seen it so clearly, and it's not just in this moment. I've seen it so clearly for years and years and years, and this is just like the intensification of it at this moment in time. And maybe it's the point where so much has come into the light that now it's a profound opportunity for us to really step up and to work as hard as we can at shifting our own consciousness and begin to understand more deeply and opening our hearts and really supporting each other and supporting what's really good and right and just for humanity and for this earth. And there's been a lot of witchery going on, a lot of
magic. There's a lot of magic at play.
There's a lot of black magic at play, and I would be shocked to hear myself saying these words, because I'm a very, science background, very down to earth person. But in this last year, if I've changed on anything, it's the belief that there is actually evil at work, and it's not just human beings that have got traumatized. So there's quite definitely, in my understanding, I will stand by this at this moment, evil intention to totally destroy humanity at this point in time. And it's done over a long period of time, massively cleverly and subtly. And
it's meticulously planned, this thing, isn't it?
Meticulously planned, and it's turned everything upside down. So everything that we thought was right and good has now been inverted. So those things are no longer right and good. So, but a classic example is this left-right switch in the political arena. It's like all these people, I've worked for climate change and campaigning for green things and all that kind of stuff and communities for so long. But I think this evil force, if you like, has captured people like me, just captured us and switched us around. So now we think we're supporting the right things, but we're not. Well,
they say once we're captured, our brain gets sucked in, doesn't it? It's like it switches off the critical thinking, because the capturing puts us into record information rather than communicate information. Because that's what capturing does, doesn't it? It switches on that recording. Just take the programming, take the programming, take the programming.
So now I'm finding all the people that I had a common link with, we believed in the same thing, like for the social good and so on, that suddenly I'm saying something different. They think I've gone insane. And they're still buying into that. And I can see, how the George Soros, etc., backed agenda is just really kind of reeling them in on this bait.
Absolutely.
Out, like Black Lives Matter, climate change, and all those things. It's like we want to be politically correct, and it gets more and more crazy the whole time of what we have to say to be politically correct, and we daren't even if we're beginning to question now. It's like,
how dare you? How very dare you?
Yeah, exactly.
It's horrible, isn't it?
And the biggest thing is this whole agenda, this lethal injection. We can't use that word beginning with B. And the second,
well, it's not that anyway, is it?
Not even that. I mean, Dr. David Martin, who's the patents expert and so on, and on that documentary about Fauci, Focus on Fauci, talked very clearly about that this thing that's being rolled out is not legally defined. as a thing beginning with as
No, I know. The thing is, though, Juliet, I think what's important as well, isn't it, for us, is if we want to help to support people, it isn't to overload you with even more information. And it isn't to start saying, yes, these are the baddies and these are the goodies. These are the baddies and it's really bad. And these are the goodies and it's really bad. And it's not to do that, because that's where we get overwhelmed. That's where we get lost in our emotional turmoil. So what I think would be really useful for us is if we can help people to go, regardless that this is going on, what's happening here, what's happening in you, in your flow, in your place. So I just went and looked on the YouTube, on the Facebook, and we've got a lovely comment here. Jane is on here. So Jane, hopefully you're still listening, because it was 25 minutes ago. But it says, sometimes the breathing and meditation doesn't work for me and I end up in a mess on the floor. So this is one of the things that Jane said. And as I clicked on that message, I just thought, okay, so let's keep on track with this, because that's what I want to be able to do, is to support people like Jane, who have tools that normally would resource you. But even when they use those tools at the moment, it's not working. You end up in a blubbering mess on the floor. Jane, you're not alone. Let me tell you now, you are absolutely not alone. As a person who teaches and who mentors and guides and uses loads of different tools and loads of different techniques and loads of different resources, sometimes they're just not working and I don't know what to do. Now, what I do know is there will be an end to that. I'll come out of the darkness at some point, but that doesn't help me when I'm in the darkness. And I think before, when we were talking about suicide, Juliet, as well, and people, I don't think I've ever had suicidal thoughts, but I do often think I don't want to get out of bed. And I think that's the same thing, isn't it? I don't want to face the world. I don't want to be in the world. I don't want to have to read anymore or hear anymore. I don't want to be in any more debates. I don't want to hear the fighting. I don't want to be in the fighting. I don't even want to do the fighting.
No.
Just would like to have a day of being me.
Just want to have a normal life, but not the normal.
Whatever that means.
Not the normal life like we're leaving behind. It was always not normal, but a normal life where people are connecting and relating and creating, being creative and building community, building beautiful projects and feeling empowered and feeling in their own power. That's where I feel like we're moving towards.
Definitely.
And for those people who, you know, like you said, oh, sometimes those things don't work, then I think you need a plan B.
Yes, good.
And C and D, that you need to have structure, that you need to get to know how bad things can be at this moment. And there are different steps. Okay, this hasn't worked for me. And not to get sucked down. We talk about the trauma vortex, that if you get onto the trauma vortex and
yes,
it gets worse and worse and worse, and you're getting down, down, down.
So what advice do you give, Juliet, if I feel I'm on the edge of that vortex and I'm getting sucked into being a blubbering mess on the floor? What would your first advice be for somebody in that situation?
Well, if you were in the room with me and I could see that you're getting into a very highly activated state, I would be changing the I would be changing the information.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
I would distract you in some way.
Okay.
I would distract you with something else that's resourcing in some way, some other thing. I would look to see how I could engage you in some other way before you get sucked down. And this is the key thing. If you allow yourself to get into too much of a blubbering mess, it's much harder to come back out of that.
Yeah.
So you have to be able, and it requires self-discipline, and it might require that you have some support and help somewhere that you can reach out and say, help, I'm going down, the plug hole.
Exactly.
Yeah, please help me.
Yeah.
But that you change what you're doing. So if the breathing and the meditation, particularly if you've got your eyes closed, could actually bring up more emotions.
Uh-huh.
It could.
So this could be interesting for Jane if she's still listening. I'm hoping she is still listening.
Yeah.
So when breathing and meditation, so with breathing, what you're doing is you're kind of focusing your attention on yourself. So if your breathing is out of whack, then that is going to give you a subtle bit of anxiety anyway, isn't it? So even though you're trying to control your breathing, it's almost like you're heightening your own anxiety.
Absolutely.
And as you say, when your eyes are closed, your inner process, and if there's any anxiety there, is massively magnified. So the best thing would be to not to stop breathing, because that won't work. But the best thing would to be have eyes open. And I love one of the things that you do teach, Julia, is have a look around you. Find something that's pleasing. So for me at the moment, I've got the most beautiful fluffy pussycat here on the chair, fast asleep, just a big ball of fluff. And at any point in time, I can go and I can give her a stroke, and she very rarely, I was going to say never then, she very rarely doesn't want me to stroke her.
Yeah.
It's very, very rare that she doesn't want attention. It does happen sometimes. But so for me, I've got that now I'm looking after these cats. I'm like, oh, great. So I actually, this is a resource for me. That isn't, it's not about, you know, the going in and trying to fix what's going on inside. It's let me engage with something outside of me that then will impact my inside without me having to do anything about it.
Absolutely. That's the kind of resource I mean. Physical, tangible things around you.
Yeah.
You can touch that gives you a feeling of pleasure.
Yeah.
Or you can look at and gives your
Yeah.
eyes.
Like even something like, you know, a teddy, or I've got this fluffy cushion and I've got a really lovely soft woolly blanket, and to just sit and kind of go, oh, fluffy cushion. Oh, what a lovely fluff. Because it is nice, isn't it, having textures of cloths and fabrics that
it's sensory,
nice.
sensory pleasure to your body.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to help you.
Yeah. So hopefully, Jane, you can use that as a technique to support you when eyes closed and breathing isn't working for you.
Yeah, and the other thing is that, just to explain about the looking round, so when we're very triggered, we've gone into fight or flight or parasympathetic shock, and this is the primitive brain has taken over. When we look round, what we're doing is we're beginning to reorient again. So we are animals and the primitive brain is running the show, and we have to do this orienting. If we get into a highly activated state, then we're focusing in one direction, we're completely tunnel visioned.
Yeah.
And the same with our hearing is closing down. So by moving around, moving the head around, you know, really widely around and exploring what's in my environment that's pleasing to my eyes.
So you're opening up your perception, aren't you? That's what
you're opening up the perception. And as you can do that, this is a physiological process that then the primitive brain begins to decrease the amount of adrenaline, and you come back within your window of tolerance. So the primitive brain is turning off that highly activated state.
And then every time we've got something like this that we can go, oh, my lovely thing, then I'm actually making neurotransmitters, aren't I? Those great serotonin and oxytocin. And even though it's a cushion, because it's giving me that satisfaction, that sensory satisfaction, that is increasing the brain chemistry that's feel-good chemistry rather than the adrenaline, which is the feel-awful chemistry, isn't it?
Absolutely. So it's not just about in the moment trying to, oh, I'm feeling bad, let me start meditating. So plan in advance. Make sure that you're completely surrounded. Build up your repertoire. Build up what you've got that you can turn to in your hour of need. And if this thing doesn't work, then something else. And I usually find the best thing is to get out of the house.
Yes.
To get out, to move the body. Not to, the less you move, the more frozen you can get.
Okay.
So you need to move. Keep
moving. But then going outside again at the moment is restricted for some people. If you're in a flat, it's more difficult. So yeah, finding ways of accessing stuff inside your home that are things that you like to see or hear or feel or smell or taste, or be in the company of. Anything like that. So start making a list, start building up your reservoir of resources, even if it's just a fluffy cushion.
Absolutely. And the brain cannot differentiate between that which is real and that which is imaginary or seen on the video screen or TV screen. So if, for instance, you couldn't get outside, watch a film about nature, watch something really beautiful about nature that's inspiring.
Nice.
Or if you can't move your body, watch something about movement.
Yes.
Or imagine yourself moving, or maybe you can move on the spot. Jump in. I mean, if you're highly stressed, one thing you can do is just like pound your feet up and down and to begin to release that adrenaline.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Dancing is good, isn't it? You can dance like a nutter. I like dancing like a nutter.
Yeah, put in some dance music on. So there's always something there. Yeah. So the first thing is just to think, what is it? What are my resources? What do I really benefit from? What do I really enjoy? Even if it's you haven't done it for a long time because you've progressively closed down, but open up to what you actually enjoy and what supports you. Begin to think about that. Begin maybe write a list or pick picture of all those beautiful things that support you.
Yeah, and a thing that I often talk to clients about, and I do it myself as well, is with my beautiful fluffy cushion. If I'm getting really, really, really angry and I know I need to voice something, but I can't scream it out because I'm scared the neighbours might come and wonder what's going on. Scream into a cushion, and you can just go, and you can like really let off some steam that way. And I find that sometimes if that starts a process of re-engaging, because whatever it was that I feel I needed to say was, because it was so stuck, it was like stopping all of the flow. So just by having a scream into a cushion, sometimes that is another, for me, that's another restart, a re-ignition of coming back online, if you like, getting back into flow.
Yeah, with the proviso that you don't just keep running it, because you can get to that intense place, which they used to call, well, they still call catharsis, but actually that becomes re-traumatizing. So, yeah,
there's a word that I think you introduced me to this, or at least I appreciate the concept now that I work with you. It's called flooding. So when we get so flooded, it's like you were saying before, you're so far, you're practically in the plug hole. You can't even get yourself out, because the momentum created to get you to that place is so strong, it's pulling you. So it's almost to reverse that is very difficult. So again, this idea of not flooding. So as soon as I feel myself on the precipice of that, what can I do to express it so that I can then step back and come back to me without getting flooded and get lost down the plug hole first? Because as you say, it's much more difficult to get out of that once you're in, isn't it?
Yeah, you need to keep your witness capacity on board. So if you are totally into the feeling, the emotion, and screaming and ranting, and you can't have this inner step back at the same time. You need to be watching what you're doing. If you totally identify and merge with that process of screaming, you're already on the precipice. So it's like, you need to witness, okay, here I am screaming into this cushion. Oh, that's interesting. I did that. Oh, is that what was bothering me? Oh, I feel good that I've now expressed this out. So you need to keep your witness on board.
Yeah.
You lose your witness, then you're already in a danger zone. You need to put the cushion down and do something different.
Yeah.
Like, okay, well, I've done my scream. Let me go and have a cup of tea now, or let me go and whatever it is that.
Well, yeah.
Whatever.
So we've got another question. Oh, no, it's not a question. Oh, Rachel, thank you. Rachel saying, thank you both. This is so helpful.
Oh, good. Good.
Excellent. Thank you, Rachel. And thank you, Jane. And Jane, I hope that was useful for you as well. I'm glad it helped Rachel. Even if it helps one person, we've done a good job. So we've helped Rachel. So guess what, Juliet? We've done a good job. Yay!
Yay! Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Good. That's what I was hoping that people would ask us, because we've got so much to share, so much help to give. And I have to admit that it makes me feel much better if I feel that I'm actually doing something to be supportive to people, rather than like kind of trying to cope with my own depression around everything.
Yes.
Thank you for asking us questions.
I know. It's great. So everybody who's watching, anybody who's watching, please just let us know if there's any part of what we've been saying that resonates with you, or if there's something that we've said that you feel isn't helpful. Please let us know, because what all you're doing is identifying that there's still a resource need that you haven't had met, and if we can help you to meet that resource need, whatever it is for you, then that's the role that we play. We play helping each other, supporting each other, how to come back to me, how to get back into flow. Absolutely.
I'm just like, I expected something on YouTube to come up, but I'm not seeing any comments coming up here. Or maybe I haven't done it. No,
I'm not even looking on YouTube. I'm busy enough just with Facebook.
Okay.
So, if there are any Facebook,
I'm peering, like, what does that say? Like,
squinting at the screen. Well, if you are on YouTube and you've asked some questions, or you're expecting a reply, we will reply. We'll reply in writing. And apologies for not replying right now live on air, because that's the whole point of this live streaming, to be live. But we will do it in retrospect until we get even better at all of this technology. And And if you wanted to, ask us any questions, or to look at a specific incident, or look at a specific situation, or a specific part of the topics that we've covered, or something else that bothers you. What is it that you actually would like to know more about, or need to know more about, or need some help with or support with? Because that really is the purpose of us doing this. Absolutely is the purpose of doing this. Because I know for myself, whenever I'm getting lost, it's really difficult to reach out when you're in that place. And so seeing something that is reach outable and having it be there, it's almost like my reaching out then gets satisfied without me having to try and override whatever the block was or whatever the frozenness was.
There's this thing called the part of our nervous system, which is the social nervous system. And if we get too activated, if we get too deep into our feelings of activation, that turns off. So that means that then it's very, very hard to reach out. It's very hard to engage socially. It actually affects our voice, our mouth, and even our brain, that we can't even think of the words anymore to say in order to reach out. Yeah. It affects our hearing, affects our vision. So,
and there's something else that happens to me when I don't want to reach out sometimes. Well, it's not that I don't want to, it's the wrong word. It's like I can't. There's a fear that it should be fixed. This state that I'm in needs fixing. People are going to want to fix it. And yet the state that I'm in has some useful information for me that I haven't yet realized. So this is a process I have. I don't know if this is a normal process. I assume it is. I think I'm quite normal. But I have this idea that, and I actually did it with a friend the other day. Sometimes you just need to ask your friend, please shut up and just listen. Can I just go there for 5 minutes, and just like with the cushion, the same thing. Can I just get this out, because I don't even know what it sounds like to voice it yet? Because all I've had is this weird stream of thoughts and feelings going on that doesn't make any sense and makes me feel all scattered and incoherent. So to be able to put words to my own scattered incoherence and then have someone try and fix it before I've even finished putting words to it means, I'm not going to ask anybody then, because they're going to try and fix me, and I don't want to be fixed. I don't actually know what the problem is yet. I just know I don't like feeling this way. So to have that ear, just that open space for me to be able to organize my thoughts, so then I can see them. Because sometimes as a thought is coming out of your mouth, you go, oh yeah, that's a bit silly, that one, isn't it? And you can actually realize, the witness realizes, now the witness has been presented with something. There's now new knowledge available. There's new wisdom available.
Yeah, and to have that someone else just listening and receiving without trying to fix it, it creates that safety.
Yes.
For you to begin to explore more deeply what's going on for yourself. It's almost like that's as I look out the window, there's a beautiful sunset just about to happen. The lights are amazing. Yeah, to have the witness, the person just holding that space for you without kind of pushing in and engaging and stepping in any way. It's
saying what you should do is.
Yeah. Because how can anyone else know what's right for someone? We don't know. And usually when we're trying to fix somebody, it's because it's to ease our own discomfort that this person is having a hard time.
Yeah.
Or if only I can fix them, then I can feel more comfortable.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really help just to have somebody that can sit back, and whatever the person is saying, whatever is coming up, it's like, and just to hold that space.
I hear what you're saying. Yeah, it's really important, because I know I do. I'm a fixer. I'm an intrepid fixer. I love fixing, but actually sometimes the fixing is doing nothing. It's witnessing, it's listening. Yeah. Oh, cool. So I'm just going to let me check Facebook again and see what we've got. Oh, Rachel. Oh, Rachel sent us another. Jenny says, really enjoying this. We need the elders. Yes, we do, Jenny. Yes, we do. Definitely we need the elders. That's lovely. And Rachel says, I wonder how to re-find inner peace when the situation outside, things that happened in the world now while we are present standing there, it becomes so overwhelming. For example, a person saying in an angry way to us that we have to put our face mask on. I live in Belgium, and this kind of tension is present a lot. Yeah, that's happening a lot. I had it happen to me the other day in a shop, Rachel, that somebody was insisting that I put a mask on. And I've refined a way of my dealing with it, of my responding to it. And all I say is, you do not know my disability. You do not know my situation or my condition. You do not know why I am not wearing a mask. And you are not entitled to know that. Because I'm not trying to make any excuses. I'm just telling you, I have reasons, and I know what I'm doing, and it's none of your business. In the same way, you're fighting people is none of my business. So it can be sometimes confrontational to do that, and it can heighten the attack that I'm receiving. But also for me, what I've started choosing to do is I'll stand in my power and I'll say, you do not know anything about me, and you've got no understanding of what is going on right now. I do not accept your anger, and I do not accept your rage. And I just turn and leave. I'm not even going to stand and, if it's in a shop or something, I'm not going to stay in the shop and receive the abuse. I'll wait outside until the person leaves the shop, and then I'll go in, or I'll go to another shop if that's the situation. Or if it's a situation that I can't escape from, I suppose there's different ways actually that I'm dealing with it, but absolutely understand what you're saying there. It is really awful when somebody is so close to you and attacking you in that way with that much anger. Because that's life-threatening. From an animal survival perspective, from an innate intelligence in the body perspective, that's a life threat. So that is always going to create a massive disruption in our energy and how we're being. And I think with resourcing, what I'm learning is it's not that we will never get thrown into a state of chaos. It's that we can regain our self from the chaos more easily, a bit more quickly after it's happened.
Yeah, what's important there also is to pick your battles. If you're not feeling in a very good state, then don't go into a place where you might get challenged or it might be difficult, which can feel bad as well, because it can feel like, oh, well, I can't even just go and do such and such because of this is going on. Well, I guess that's the reality, is that we are going to be challenged, and so don't go there if we're not feeling strong enough.
The thing that really helps me at the moment is the groups that I'm in. I'm in lots of groups on Telegram. I'm in lots of groups on Facebook. What other things? I'm on MeWe. It's the social media channels that I'm now connected to, and the groups in there, I've connected to like-minded groups. And if those groups start to get fractured and splintered and argumentative, I leave them, because there are enough groups online now that I know where to go to find like-minded people. And they can give me suggestions and ideas, and they listen to me, and they understand my position, and they don't like the hate and the anger either. And so then again, I start to feel socially connected again. So hopefully, if you needed to know more, it's Rachel who said that. If you needed to know more, Rachel from Belgium, beautiful Rachel. Oh, thank you, Rachel. I'm glad this was helpful for you. But if you need to know more about different groups and different communities that you could connect to, then message us. We've got loads. Between me and Juliet, we've got a whole universe of tribes.
Lots of tribes, lots and lots of tribes. And just to come back again, if you are faced with this kind of in-your-face situation, is like, take a moment to breathe and to step back and to feel your feet on the ground. Because if you allow them to escalate your adrenaline, if them being in your face means that your adrenaline comes up, then you're immediately in a conflictual situation. And that's only a step away from violence of some kind.
Yes.
So you need to begin to let your own adrenaline drop, to ground yourself in that moment. And you can practice this ahead of time with the kind of grounding embodied.
But even that statement is really powerful, isn't it, Juliet? Can I feel my feet? Can I feel my feet? Can I wiggle my toes? Can I notice me? Because I think if I get into a confrontational situation that I leave, that's how I do the leaving. I do leaving by going, okay, So my feet, I can move my feet now. And so I come back into my body and physically, and remain physically aware as much as I can, and stay out of my head, and which is usually doing the argument that I wish I could do to the person. But I can't because I'm so scared or I'm so angry or whatever. But if I go, okay, so my feet move, yes, I can move my feet. I can move my feet in the direction that I want to move them. I want to move them away from this energy right now. So here's my feet. I can feel my feet. I can feel my toes. And just that practice alone is massively reorganizing, isn't it, for self?
Yeah. So I have been posting little somatic experience in meditations and videos. So by practicing that, it's not just meditation on its own, it's linking to the body. It's really important that you are able to feel your body, that you're able to track the sensations in your body, because that's going to give you information the whole time about how much capacity you've got to be in the situation you're in. And if you begin to lose the feeling in your body, then that's really hard. So it's like bring your attention to your feet, to your hands. One thing is that you could have something like some worry beads or something tactile in your pocket that you're holding and you're focusing on to feel the sensation of that.
That's nice. And I've got a funny story about that, which is actually a practical solution as well. So you can have a little, let me just find one, hang on. So I would normally use a shell, but for the purposes of this demonstration, I'm going to use a little heart-shaped crystal.
Oh, right.
So you keep it in your pocket or in your purse or whatever it is. And then if people ask, and a friend of mine did this for a while and he loves it. If people say, do you have a mask? Or where's your mask? You say, oh, no, I don't have one. I have my magic crystal. And they say, really? What does your magic crystal do? And you say, the same as your mask, bugger all. And then run away really quickly, though.
But that is a very real thing in breaking conflict. Yeah, to have something completely out of the realm of what they expect you to say.
That opens up that perspective again, doesn't it? And stops the stuck one direction whole effect.
So you could have a statement. It's not necessarily a crystal. You could have some kind of statement like, do unicorns eat roast beef? Yes. Something crazy.
This is a great, so do you know what I love about that actually? This is Zen Buddhism. So great Zen masters have two types of response. If you ask them a spiritual question, they will give you a mundane response. And if you ask them a mundane question, they will give you a spiritual response, which is what you just said. It's that off-piste, do unicorns eat mincemeat on a Tuesday?
Yeah, it's something that causes the brain to go, what did she say? And
because the purpose of Zen is to, for no mind, it's like it breaks the mind. It goes to the mind.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if you have been aggressed and you've had a hard time with something, then, is there someone you can go and talk to about it afterwards that understands? Because that's really important to begin to move out of that situation, because as long as you're still in it and the thoughts are still running, the adrenaline's still running, it's going to be giving you a very increased flow of cortisol in your body, stress response, and that's going to turn your immune system off. So you need to be able to take it away, talk to somebody, get reassurance, get support.
And you can message us.
Yeah, you can message us. You can always message us.
Yeah. Right, I've just had a ping.
Okay.
I'm going to have to go.
Oh, is that the end?
That's the end.
Okay.
It's 4:25, Juliet. We've been on for hours.
Good. Well, I hope it's been of help to someone. And
it's definitely been of help to a couple of people. I'm really grateful that you listened, the ladies, the great ideas from Rachel. Okay, good.
And do share it.
Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, Jane. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you to Marla. Thank you to Melanie. Thank you to Sass, Claudia, and Christina, and everybody who's watching on LinkedIn and on YouTube. And where else are we?
Twitter.
And Twitter, on Periscope, Yeah, great. So thank you so much for the invitation, Juliet. I really, I'm so grateful to be able to support other people, because I know that when I need support, I love it when it's available.
Yeah. And if there's something that we haven't covered that you would like to have some support, or you'd like us to talk about in another program, then please send us a message.
Yeah.
If there's something in your awareness that's really important. And I just want to, we'll just end. I was going to bring up another topic.
No more topics.
No more. That's the way we could go on and on and on.
We could go on forever. So for now, why don't we just finish by wiggling our toes?
Wiggling our toes.
Wiggle your toes, and move your feet around a little bit. And I like wagging my tail as well. When you wag your tail, it helps to realign your spine.
Yeah, and it's still lovely outside. Well, I don't know where you are, if it's lovely.
It's very grey here.
Oh, well, if you can go for a walk or do something, or go and make a nice cup of tea, or whatever your beautiful, lovely go-to thing is. Yeah.
I'm going to have a cup of tea and I'm going to stroke the cats.
Okay, you go and spoil yourself. And
I've got another call.
Lots.
Oh, thank you everybody for joining us, and thank you so much, Juliet, for this amazing invitation. I'm looking forward to the next one already.
Yay, me too.
All right then.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.